Welcome back to the Saints TV YouTube channel. Sainers match preview time, as it is every week. Round 17 now. The season's getting on. It's been a big week for the footy club for all the wrong reasons, and we've got a very, very difficult game coming up on Sunday, 3:20 p.m. at Marvel Stadium against the Sydney Swans, the top of the table, ladder-leading, flying Sydney Swans, who are coming off a defeat, if you can believe. They're first in about 10 games. 1 point to Fremantle. They could have drawn it, really should have drawn it. Logan McDonald shanked a kick after the siren, and their perfect run came to an end. They're going to want to rebound, and they're going to want to rebound very, very, very strongly. Against us, we're going to be missing Max King and Caminiti at the very least, both injured. Caminiti very disappointing because I thought he looked pretty good in the back line last week. And obviously Max King, as we know with his PCL, will miss the rest of the season. So there's going to be some changes. That to me is exciting. I'm keen to see who we bring in. I have an idea of who might come in. But on the flip side, it's also, the strength of this Sydney Swans outfit is exceptional. And to me, it's the big... There's four big ones that come to mind when I think of Sydney. And it's Errol Goulden. His left foot is just art. It's artwork. Isaac Heaney, who, previously in the first maybe 8 to 10 weeks, people were talking up Brownlow chances with Isaac Heaney. That's how good he was going. Brodie Grundy in the ruck. Not quite back to his All-Australian best, but he's hitting some serious form, averaging nearly 20 disposals per game and 32 hitouts. He's on form. That's going to be a massive, massive matchup against Rowan Marshall and perhaps maybe a Max Heath, maybe a Tom Campbell. I feel like we're going to have to go that two-pronged attack again because we're going to need Rowe in the forward line, especially with no Max King. And then there's Chad Warner, the Chad, who's dropped off in the last couple of weeks, to be honest. But him dropping off is still a very, very good player, averaging nearly 2 goals a game, 24 disposals, if you don't mind, nearly 500 metres gained. Sydney is stacked with these sort of players. Nick Blakey, just running machine. Amadi, who bobbed up with his 9 goals a couple of weeks ago. Logan McDonald going at nearly 2 goals a game. If you look at goal averages, Joel Amadi, 2.1, Will Hayward, 1.9, Tom Papley, 1.7, Chad Warner, 1.6, McDonald, 1.5, Heaney, 1.4, McLean, 1.1. They have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 players averaging above a goal a game. We have, who are going to be playing on the weekend, 1, in Jack Higgins, averaging 2. In games played, Max King was 1.6, Tim Membry 1.4, both probably not going to play. Well, Tim Membry would I know, but Max King definitely not. So you look at that, and that's the first thing I think of when I think of Sydney. Is I don't think they don't have that out and out forward. They've just got so many goal kicking players across the ground. They all are just naturally good in front of the big sticks. That's the way I see them. They've got so many midfielders that can kick goals. All their smalls are dangerous. The big three for me, Goulden, Heaney, and Warner, all good for a goal or two a game. All good. And then you think of how many they set up. That's why they are the highest scoring team in the competition. And I believe they've also got the best defense in the competition. They're 1-1. That's how good they're going. So this is a daunting task for our team, especially given selection and the key players that are going to be missing. But for me, it's also exciting because Sydney are exactly where we want to be. This is a type of form, type of football, exciting, quick, defensive, tough, top of the ladder leading football that we are striving for. At least I hope we're striving for. And we're going to get to see it in full flight on Sunday. I do want us to do our best to win the game, but at the same time, we are going to learn a few lessons about maybe players going into the off-season. This is the period now in the next 7 weeks where we can start to bring in Max Heath, maybe. Bring in Isaac Keeler. Get Garcia back in, who's averaging over 10 tackles a game. Mateus Filippo, who's had a good month at VFL level and had his best game at VFL level on the weekend. Definitely coming in this week. We need to trial Rowe deep more. I'd love to see Rowe as that number one forward for the rest of the season and give Tom Campbell and Max Heath a run. Consistent run, regardless of who the opposition ruck is going to be. Ari, he's going to continue to get games. Wilson looked a bit tired on the weekend. Do we rest him or do we just persist with him and just get games into him? Because that's the most valuable thing. This is the time where we can kind of release the shackles on some of these youngsters that we've not seen enough of or at all. So we need to get those answers going into the off-season because we need to know who's going to be in it for the long haul and who's going to be part of the next tilt. The under-23 squad that's building nicely if you look at it. And then the rest, pretty much. Who are they and where do they want to be in the next year or two at the footy club? So midfield battle is always huge. Horne-Francis, Rosie and Butters were very, very influential on the weekend. But I love that they were so influential according to everyone that we only lost by 2 points. So as much as midfield deficiency is a major problem, going into every game, every single game, we've got one of the worst midfields going around, out of form, worst, whatever you want to call it. We're bottom tier for that level. We compete in every other aspect. Backline's been strong. It was strong on the weekend. We kept Port to 62. Sydney, we're going to have to keep them to a low score, or we try and do what we did against Brisbane and go for a shootout. That's probably going to backfire because we just don't have the weapons. We're missing Caminiti and King out of that lineup. So I don't think a shootout's going to be on the cards. But if we can just be ultra competitive, be really physical, be really tough, and try and get them on the turnover. That's the big thing, is that with a lot of top teams, they are very attacking and you kind of hope that you can get them on the turnover. But with Sydney, they are number one for defense as well. They're that good. They're so defensively sound. They got such good two-way running. You look at Chad Warner, two-way runner. You've got Heaney, who gets back. You got Goulden, who doesn't stop running and clocks in so many Ks a game. They've got so many players that are so good on the attack, but they build off the defense. And that's what Ross is trying to do. We need to build from defense out of the back and then push hard forward. We're just not doing it with the right balance and at the right consistency, whereas Sydney are absolutely nailing it. You can see why they're top of the table right now. So they have been a little bit down. I feel like this loss against Fremantle was coming, and they were down for most of that game pretty significantly, and they made a late run. They are dominant in last quarters, Sydney, so that's something we need to keep an eye on. But they are notably slow starters for me. At least in the games that I've watched, they were slow. They were 5-6 goals to 1 down against Geelong. They won that game. And then they were, 4 or 5 goals down against Fremantle in portions of the game, and they lost that game. So to me, their form's petered a little bit. Obviously, it's still very, very good. Good enough to beat us, probably, but I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how they go on the weekend. I think, for me, and I say it every week, and it's a broken record, and I said it on the podcast, but can we not be 4 goals to 1 down within 20 minutes? Let's see if we can kick 3 or 4 goals in the first quarter. And just that, to me, that sets the tone. We've got to build into these games. The longer we're in the games, the more belief we have as a playing group, and obviously as a fan base in the crowd. So if we're 5-6 goals down in the first quarter, the crowd's obviously going to be mute. We're not going to be... It's just going to be dead. It's going to be an ugly atmosphere, and the players will feel that, and then that'll just translate into the scoreboard ticking over even more for Sydney. But maybe this is the underdog status that we need. We're missing a few key players. Maybe the forward line will function in a different way that we don't know. That it'll be a bit more unpredictable. Who knows? Who knows what will happen? Wilder things have happened in football. We are $3.80 to win, so I thought we were actually going to be steeper than that, to be honest. $3.78 to $1.27. Last time we played them, we did beat them in Sydney by 14 points, 66 to 80. Before that, they beat us by 14 points, 74 to 88. Before that, they beat us by 1 point. Oh no, by 51 points, sorry. I don't know where that came from. We've had a pretty average record against them in these sort of pride matches, I suppose, is what they are. But yeah, I have no expectation going into this game other than I'm going in hoping that the youngsters get games and we're ultra competitive because, that's what we want. We want all of our players to go out there and compete, and if it doesn't come off, then we can live with that. And given our current predicament and where we're at, I think we all know where we're at, and and what might happen in the next 6 or 7 weeks. So I don't think... I think it'll be manageable. I think we know we need to hit the draft. We need to get a top 5, top 6 draft pick. Probably will, to be honest. Even if we win a lot of games, I think the teams around us will probably win as many games and our ladder position will stay the same. But yeah, I think... I don't know. It's been a realignment in the last couple of weeks, at least from my perspective, on what we need to do. And... I think we can look at this from a negative lens and be really angry and say we're just shit, or I think we can flip it and go, well, okay, let's see what we've got to work with and what we need. And I think we all know what we need. We need mids. We need gun mids. And midfield will never... we can have the best forward line and back line in the world, but if our midfield stays exactly as it is, doesn't matter because the ball's not going to get in. So... yeah, we're going to be playing a very good midfield on the weekend. I'm going to be there. Hopefully you can. We've been under 20,000, 3 home games in a row, albeit against 3 interstate teams. This is, again, an interstate team, although they do have quite a strong supporter base in Melbourne, obviously. So let's get above 20, Saners. Come on, rock up. I know there's portions of the fan base that are very, very frustrated, but at the same time, we talk about culture. The culture, to me, starts with the fans. Rock up. That sets the tone for on-field. I don't think it's the other way around. We can't just sit back and go, I'm only going to rock up when the team starts winning. No, we rock up first, and then, trust me, it's a domino effect. Then things on field, then the players feel the energy. They start fighting a bit more. They go for every tackle. We can't just sit back and go, I'm going to wait for them. Let's be the proactive ones. Rock up. Let's get 25,000 on the weekend. I don't think that's too much to ask against the top of the table Sydney. Just rock up. 320. You've all got memberships. I know it. 60,000 of you. Get there. Scan your GA. Go up top or whatever you want and cheer on the boys. None of this rocking up and just talking shit. Let's just bring some energy back for the next 6 to 7 weeks. They're feeling it. We're feeling it. Something's got to give. And you know what? If we put on a show on the weekend, it wouldn't surprise me. So bring it on. Sydney Swans, top of the table, 320, Marvel Stadium. I'll see you there, hopefully. Until then, Saners, take care. And as always, go you mighty Saners. See you guys.